Well, let's just get started. Welcome everyone to our first speaker Q&A. I'm so glad you could join us today. I'm so excited to talk to you about your experiences. So to get started, how are you guys? How have you been? I know it's been a while since the conference, but I just want to hear how you're handling COVID still and make sure you're all doing well. So whoever wants to speak first, I don't know if we should do an order, a designated order, if that's what you like. Whatever
Whichever
you guys.
way you want. I can just jump in if you want. I'm doing great. Trying to get a sense of, I don't know, a level of comfort, whether you want to call it like that, with going back to in person and everybody trying to blend in back into society. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that. But then at the same time, I understand that it's part of life and we have to continue moving forward. So with that being said, we're good. Thank God. Thank you.
Great. I understand that too. When it comes to coming back to in person, it feels like, is it too soon? Everyone's trying to get vaccinated, so I completely understand.
Yes.
Anybody else want to say how they've been? Even if
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I don't think I realized exactly how starved we were for social interaction. That's the part that's really, really fascinating. I had my birthday last month, a couple months ago, I guess now. And I told everybody no party, right? Like I don't want to have any conflict with COVID, and they didn't listen. They kept it in our little bubble, and they threw a little tiny 6-person party, surprise party, and we laughed so hard I lost my voice. It was amazing how much we missed being together, and I'm really looking forward to, as everybody gets vaccines, to be able to get together and enjoy the summer. So fingers crossed that's where we end up this year, is a nice warm summer with a lot of social interaction and getting back to seeing everybody again.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Jacob, Michelle?
I'll go. I think life since COVID or in COVID has been quite interesting because it's, I had a small viewing party for the TED Talk event that we did in February. And it was kept small, but then my other family was like, I wanted to be there. And, it was just, but I was like, the fear of not getting together. But then now that things are slowly opening up, I feel like people are wanting to just connect and wanting to give hugs to their loved ones that they haven't been able to do that, especially with the grandparents and their grandkids. I think that's the ones that are having the toughest. That's been toughest for them, and now they're like, yes, I can go hug my grandkids now and not worry. So that's the exciting part. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to echo everybody's own sentiments, things are opening back up. The pandemic, I think, taught me a lot about myself. I'm still working through that process, and it's definitely been an evolving time within myself and my surroundings and things of that nature. But I think the TED Talk really did a lot for my self-confidence. Also, kind of continuing that evolution of my life, which has been very interesting. Since that talk, things have kind of like ramped up significantly since that time, which I'm very grateful for. And yeah, the past year was a bit lonely, but I always managed to keep in touch with the people I really cared about through FaceTime, through text messages, phone calls. Like those actually do matter, in my opinion. That form of communication does matter. I talk with my nieces quite often on FaceTime, so I'm pretty used to it. And they always give me phone calls when they want to see my face. So I find that to be really good. If they stop calling, that's a problem. But, things have been good. We're opening back up, fully vaccinated. I don't have a third eye, so we're good there. Everything is going well, guys. I'm telling you that the vaccine's good. But things have been good. Thank you for asking, and really excited to do this Q&A. Thanks for the opportunity.
I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you all for sharing those experiences, because it's important. And especially, COVID's affected everything. It's affected this event, we're virtual. So hopefully, in the fall, TEDx can finally have some in-person events, because it starts for a whole time that our organization has been a thing, it's been all virtual. So I'm really excited to go back in the fall, and maybe you guys can continue to be a part of our events and Titan Talks. That'd be so great. So moving on, I want to know, first of all, how did you come up with your TED Talk concept? Or maybe why did you choose that concept for your TED Talk? And also, when we're going through it, I love to formally introduce yourself. I forgot that in the beginning. Formally introduce yourself. You could say what your TED Talk was about to remind everyone. And yeah, so whoever would like to go first, take the floor.
I think I'll go. It's been a dream of mine to be a motivational speaker since I was back at Cal State Fullerton. And I told my parents I wanted to be a motivational speaker. And they said, go down the sales route. But deep down in my heart, I knew that the ultimate stage for any motivational speaker is the TED stage, whether it be a TEDx or a TED or a TED Ed, just the TED brand. And when I got the opportunity that Cal State Fullerton was hosting its first conference, I said, I'm going to apply. And I got accepted. And then the idea was, what am I going to talk about? Well, an Indian actor from Bollywood had come about, and the news had come about that said he had committed suicide. We still don't know till this day if he had actually committed suicide or not. He was in his early 30s, and it was a shock to the industry as to why he left. There was an article about his life and what was around it. And one thing that they say that he lacked was the adversity quotient. As a teen confidence expert, one thing that allows teenagers to make decisions or not is to fall under the adversity quotient. How much do you have inside of you to go after the dreams that you have? How much do you have inside of you to really live that dream that you always wanted to live with the intention? So with that came about my talk of the adversity quotient, how to overcome the evil thoughts. So that's been my journey. And it's been amazingly fruitful as a result of it. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. That's a really crazy story on how that came about. I would have never guessed, you know? So I think I'm so glad you're so passionate about it as well. It's amazing. Anybody else would like to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. My name is Alex Santana. I came about this topic because as a veteran myself, when I came back from was doing my own transition between military back to civilian life. It was very challenging because I came to find out that the system that it's been put in place for everyone to get to the place where you get your benefits, it's been designed to be very challenging, for lack of a better word. It's very challenging, especially when you come back, you're facing your own demons, you're facing your anxiety, your PTSD, your anger, your guarding, like I mentioned in my speech. And the last thing you have is patience to deal with the bureaucracy of the system. And that was one of my biggest challenges to get included, to get added into the system. And then I realized, looking back, my emphasis on my career is gerontology and the veteran community. So with that being said, it was just a perfect opportunity. And like Michelle said, it's been a dream of mine to always be motivational speaker, and I'm trying to tailor my career to where it's going to take me, it's going to launch me to that platform. So where the human services with an emphasis on gerontology and the veteran community, I don't see myself as being a one-on-one therapist, although I do love that passion to make that impact on the right person. But I think that whatever we have nowadays with the technology, it's the opportunity to reach a lot more people. And I think that I see that for instance, with this platform, this experience that I had, that I was granted by you guys, thank you very much. It opened my eyes to not only my process, like Jacob was saying, but then again to introspect. It gave me an opportunity to introspect on my own needs and wants and desires. And then I just kind of like came up with this crazy idea of tailoring my career to my need, to what I want, to my ideal case scenario. And I've been doing a lot of changes into it. But, I believe that the ideal place for everyone, it's there. It's just a matter of grasping the information and really detailing the life that you envision or whatnot. It might be a little too, I don't know, for some people it might be a little too out there, but for me, I think you set your mind to something and it happens, it manifests itself. So my hope is to be able to reach back to all those veterans that they're in the process, and then they have never had an opportunity to speak up and to feel included back into the society. And at the same time, because of the times that we're living, that the no coincidence that the baby boom generations are beginning to retire. And by the year 2030, the numbers are, way up there. So I want to be able to somehow within my goal is to come up with a design, like a legislation that's going to put some sort of help for these people, for us, because these people truly, it's our generation. Because I don't mean to out anybody, but I mean, I'm probably the oldest one here, but I see myself, being the next generation, and what's out there set in place for us. I don't know, it's kind of scary for me, but I want to be optimistic, and I want to be able to, to think positive about the future. And I think that one of the ways to do it is really reach back and give a hand up to those who are behind us. Not that it's intended to feel that you're way ahead of anybody. It's just, being grounded, but then again, looking back and just, hey, pull people back from the dark place.
Yeah, that's really moving. So glad you shared that. I felt like I learned a lot from that statement.
If I may add can I add something here?
Of course,
This is Jacob speaking. So to do a quick little intro, my name is Jacob Pacheco. I am a content creator, entrepreneur, and an adaptive athlete. And I got to speak on the TEDx platform with CSUF. And Alex, I listened to your TED Talk. I really thought it was very impactful, and you brought us to those places. I remember the bus scene. You put us on the bus, and I felt like I was there. So this is really excellent visualization and imagery that you put into your talk, and I just wanted to say that's a great thing. And I would like to connect with you because I think I have somebody that you can connect with that can help give back to more veterans and things like that. So let's connect after this.
I would love to. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
That's so awesome, you guys. That's so awesome, Jacob, that you can want to connect with Alex for him to be a motivational speaker for someone in your life. That's great. All right, Shaundra.
Well, I came at it a little bit differently. I've been speaking for years, and it's funny, you go back and when did I start speaking? And I've been doing a lot of training and work with customers my whole career. So it kind of just evolved rather than started at any particular time. And a lot of what I did in my career, and still do, is deal with complex customer situations where they're having to make big changes, enormous changes, and huge investments too. And so getting people through an organizational change quickly really helps with being able to recognize ROI. And it also, as I'm watching people go through it, I'm also watching the struggle that they're dealing with. And it's true for any change, not just an organizational change, but change in general is challenging. So it was a subject that I just started speaking on, and ended up doing a dry run at one of my Toastmasters meetings, and ended up meeting Celine through that. And I got very, very lucky to be blessed to be part of the TEDx event at Cal State Fullerton. So I'm really grateful for that. But the main reason I picked my topic is that I recognize that people struggle with any kind of change, and being able to minimize that fear, especially in an organization, really helps you move through it quickly and it more comfortably too. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you all for sharing that. I'm so glad to hear that some of you guys want to do motivational speaking in your own careers. That's amazing. I'm so glad that our organization can help jumpstart that a little bit experience-wise. So moving on, this kind of ties in a little bit. Have there been any opportunities that came out of TEDx, or even like some conversations you had, if you can't think of like a professional opportunity, conversations you've had with people in your life, friends, family, maybe people you haven't seen in a long time, peers, professors. So I want to hear some of those opportunities.
Um,
Go ahead, Chico.
yeah, thank you. So after my TED talk, which was really awesome, it was an absolute privilege to be on the platform. I think the opportunities that have come since then have been fast and furious. I've had to try and keep up with it a little bit. But I've gotten, I think, 4 more opportunities since that time. Some of them have been virtual. I'll have my first in-person of the year coming up next week. I'm very excited about that. But it does give a bit of credibility to your own platform, your own voice when you're on the TED uh, you know, stage, I guess you would say. Um, but you have to be ready for it. I would say that 5 or 6 years ago, I thought I was ready for it then, and it was clear that I wasn't. So it takes that time and that growth and that own confidence within yourself to present on a stage of that level. And to be perfectly transparent, it took 10 rewrites of my own talk to deliver it the way I liked. So it's a process. It takes time, but it's very gratifying when it's all done. I was very emotional after it was done, because it's years of hard work, it's years of progress, and sometimes you don't really see yourself on that stage. Like 5 or 6 years ago, I didn't see myself on the TED stage because that wasn't part of my life. My life was going to go in a different direction, and then, as Shaundra said, change is very difficult. You change and you adapt and you transition and you try something else. And that's kind of what brought me here. And so I kind of shared that through my own talk, but it's very interesting. So I tried to really focus on those elements of bridging the gap of understanding, talking about universal concepts. But because I did that, it provided a lot of new opportunities, which I'm very grateful for. And I'm done speaking.
That's awesome.
One of the things that I forgot to mention first is how proud I felt of everyone's speeches. It was very nice to see it all come together and to see Shaundra, you nailed it. Thank you very much for your effort, because everyone did, but I just want to highlight you in this point. And to answer your question, Brittany, since then, and given the opportunity of tailoring my career, I have a couple of friends that, when in my speech, I mentioned the seminary part of my life. So as a result of being there, one of the seminarian mates that I had with, that I was with, it happened to be, he got ordained, and he lives in Venezuela, and he is the I don't know what the right word is, but he's the principal of all the region. And he contacted me because I sent him the link, and he contacted me and he said, I want you to help us. Venezuela, it's a country that has confronted a lot of military activity, and there's a lot of military trauma, and there's a lot of, and I've been thinking a lot of the opportunities as you as a therapist, and having the background of the military experience. I think you will be a great asset for us to do some conferencing or something with Venezuela. And so he's going to put a group of people from the archdiocese that have had this similar situations, and then we're going to be doing Zoom conferencing with Venezuela, and there's a couple talks to do with another friend of mine that it's in Guatemala. So those are countries, South America. Those are countries that they have the need, and there is so much. So my goal is to be able to acculturate and then make the best out of everything. The fact that, you know, Spanish is my first language, so I want to be able to take it not only to the United States, but also to any part of the world that that I could take it to. So that's what I have so far right now, and hoping to come up with some more.
That's such a great opportunity. I'm so glad that came about because of TEDx. I'm really, really happy to hear that.
Yeah, so I'll go. I mean, in terms of the opportunities that are coming out of this, I mean, it's just been fantastic. The response I've gotten sharing the talk on LinkedIn and from all of my friends and the Facebook community and all of that, it's been really, really wonderful. I have a feeling though that this is going to be something that will pay dividends for years to come. It's funny because part of my speech, I referenced an interview I did with a gentleman in Australia. He did his TED Talk in 2008. And, I was still connecting with him, all these years later because it was such a good speech. So I think that's going to be fantastic. It'll be hard to know exactly how big the impact is, but I'm sure it'll be significant. One of the other things that I've done since is actually going back to school. So I'm looking forward to expanding some of all of that information. We'll see where that takes us to, but I'm really enjoying that part of it too. Being able to kind of find other topics and ways to expand the material and make it even more useful for the audience. So we'll see what comes.
Okay.
I'll go. I don't think I even introduced myself. My name is Mehta. I am a teen confidence expert, a celebrity coach, and a 2-time international bestselling author. And like all of us, we are all a TEDx speakers. We can all put that in our bios now. So with that came invitations to be on multiple podcasts. With that came immense amount of confidence for who I am and what do I need to be. And at the same time, reducing the idea of imposter syndrome, how the world views me as and how do I see myself as. And so with the TEDx came of releasing that of, 2 identities and becoming one. So I did have to step away from the social media world, from the social world, as I was integrating these 2 lives of mine. Because for the first time now, Michelle Mehta means one thing in the mind and how it is in the mirror. So it's all of a sudden like the little cat is now a lion, and that's what the lion sees now, is that lion looking back down. So from that idea came just the immense amount of confidence and opportunities. I took a break from coaching after the TED Talk because of the idea of I just need to focus on where am I going now? What's my next step? And when I came back into, okay, I'm going to figure out what my goal is and what do I really want for the teams that I want to support, opportunities came in mysterious ways. People that did not even know me started Googling me and said, wow, I heard your personal story on YouTube. Just from my name, they're like, oh, she's a thing, like watch out. Don't even have to say anything about my identity. Don't have to say anything about what I do. Who do I help? None of it. But just from my email, opportunities have come up in, I want to know more about you and what is it that you do. So for that gave me massive validation. One of the things that I personally struggle with is that I come from an Indian family background, a traditional family background. And a lot of Indian people do not invest in personal development because it's a newer industry. They don't really know how it works financially. And so having me be that leader, having me believe in myself, having me go down this non-traditional route has allowed me to feel like, you know what, there's so much truth out there. And this is our future. And our future are our children. Our future are you guys at the university. So my mission is to continue to help and support everyone that goes down this path. Because your dreams are your dreams. So that's my 2 cents on how this TED Talk has amplified my existence on this planet. So thank you.
No, thank you. I have to say, you speak really poetically and just really like confident. Like I can tell you're a best-selling author, Michelle. Amazing, amazing. Thank you all for those stories. I'm so, so glad to hear so many opportunities. When I came up with this question, I've been wanting to ask you guys this question. I wasn't really sure what kind of answers I would get. I was like, well, if you didn't get any opportunities, that doesn't mean more like won't come in the future. So I'm so, so glad to hear some amazing opportunities have come your way because of TEDx. Really, really happy. So I've been reading the chat. If you guys have any questions, oh, there you go. Eric has asked a question. What advice would you give to someone interested in becoming a TEDx speaker? Perfect.
I'll go. Research. You know, TED's an acronym, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. It's technology, education, and design. And the idea is that you're sharing something that's unique, that's not been shared before. So if you've got an idea, do the research, like Google the people that are talking about your subject and come up with something they haven't talked about before. And I think that that's a good start. And also get on that TEDx website, because there's lots of opportunities up there, different events that are being organized across the whole country and around the world. So I would say get online and start looking at the subject you want to talk about.
I'll add to that the fact that in my case, what helped is looking back into my own experiences, and based on the other speeches that were made as well, it's a good opportunity to really look into and put to good use the life experiences that you have accumulated throughout your journey, and then put them to use. Put them to use, because you're speaking of your own convictions, and then just believe that this experiences, this events that had helped you, have shaped you in some way, there's a purpose for it. And without getting too philosophical or too metaphoric, everything happens for a reason, in my belief. And I think that if you trust your journey and whatever has happened, it's going to propel you to the next level. That it's a good way to start, like Jacob, the way you spoke about your own experiences and everything. I have nothing but great respect, man. I mean, that was wonderful. And so if you look deeper, and then you graph, like to begin with, if you look deeper and you give the passion of those hurts or those heartaches or whatever you want to put them to good use, and there's so many people out there that they can benefit out of your own experiences. How is it that you came about? The way Michelle explained, her culture and her challenges and everything, and how she's been pushing, and now the confidence she has because she's speaking of her own heart, and I can feel it when you speak, Michelle. So I think that in order for to get, like, at the beginning for me, I'm going to share something really quick. I promise I'll be short. That helped me, and I think that's going to tie with the question that was just asked. When I was filming my talk, I'm sure some of you might have had to do it like 20 times or 30 times or whatnot, whatever number, 200, whatever it was. I wanted to connect, but something really nice happened. I don't know, behind me, right in this section right there, the little box right there, I have my medals, my military medals. I have never really opened that box. And I don't know, for some reason, I've never opened it. So when I was struggling to connect with the intention of getting on the bus and everything, and I was really lacking that emotion. And it occurred to me, you know what, open up that box. And I put all my medals in front of the camera, in front of the table. And I touched them for the first time in years. And I kid you not, I had to retake that thing 3 times because I could not speak, because it was my emotions were coming out. So it's what you have already gone through that it's going to push you through on the stage. So thank you.
That's such a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that, Alex.
I would love to add one more thing. What advice I would give to someone, to add on to what Shaundra said, doing research. Alex says owning your story. Michelle says let go of that fear, own your story. I mean, it's all great opinions and advice. And the one I would add on to that is don't be afraid to reach out. One of the main reasons why I got on this stage was because I emailed tons and tons of events. Shaundra said, go look at the website. That's a really good piece of advice because you can find out where you can contact those people and you have their email addresses and their phone numbers. Send an email. What's the worst that could happen? They don't open the email or you hear a no. We get told no a lot in our lives. Like you have to be willing to deal with that fear of rejection and keep moving forward. It's just like asking someone that you like out on a date. You know, you got to deal with that little bit of fear. You know, that's how we get through it. But I emailed 30 different TEDx speeches that were going on in California during 2020, during the height of the pandemic. I counted 30. I heard back from 5, got selected for 2, and I picked 1. And I picked this one. So that goes to show you the power of research, power of owning your story. But you got to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. Write 2 sentences that can provide value and impact to the person that you're emailing. And it literally takes about an hour of your time. But the possibilities of what you get from that hour is a huge deal. So put yourself out there, do that research, and go for it. And I'm done.
I would love to echo on everything that you said. And most importantly, whenever you do anything in life, know your why. What is your intention behind the thing that you want to do? Why are we all here? Why are we doing a Q&A session? Because I know why I'm doing a Q&A session with you guys, because I want to inspire the Cal State Fullerton community to come and perform their message, right? That's why we're all here today at noon. Right? But when you are doing a talk, go deeper. What is your deepest core related why? And when you are doing the why homework, do not bring your logic in. Turn off your mind and let your heart do the why talking, because your why is your emotions, and emotions are driven. People buy with emotions all the time. I like this car because it makes me feel good. I like this university because I like the people in it. The logic of what backs it up. So when you are doing any type of research and you're writing, always go back to your why. And my why, once again, was to be the best motivational speaker that I can be. And the TEDx was the platform to get there. And that was my why. And the why behind my topic idea was because I want to empower as many teenagers to not go down the path of suicide, to reduce the lives that we're losing on a daily basis, to reduce the anxiety and the depression. And that was my passion. So it's not a lot of time or effort to do this, but when you do, take time to really, really own the idea, because this is where you're going to be successful. So thank you so much for this question.
Yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderful question, Eric. I hope that inspired you to maybe do a TED Talk of your own one day. I know it's definitely inspired me. I'm on the board and I'm like, why have I never thought of doing a TED Talk myself? It's about time, maybe when we get back in person. So thank you so much for sharing. I mean, you guys come from different cultures and backgrounds, and you guys just come together in such a wonderful way. You gave such great advice. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there any other questions from the audience? You guys can unmute, or if you type in the chat, I'll ask it for you.
I'd like to say first and foremost, hello, and to also applaud all of you, because I'm just here. I had my camera on, but my battery's dying, so I had to plug it in, but I'm listening and I'm soaking in everything that you guys are saying. And I unfortunately did not get involved with you guys. I paid my fee. I joined you guys. Otherwise I wouldn't have the link to join, but it was just a tough year for me. You know, it's been ugly. The transition has been very hard. I got COVID. I had a car accident. I lost a family member. It was just obnoxious. But all to say, I joined, and I believe, Brittany, you asked a question. How did you hear of TEDx? Who told you about TEDx? How'd you get here? I heard of TEDx through Mrs. Virgie, the wife of President Fran Virgie at Cal State Fullerton. I went on a road trip. It's called Cal State Fullerton Road Trip, where 3 students were selected to go on a completely funded road trip a documentary was made of those 3 students, me being one of them. And I got the opportunity to interview 10 Cal State Fullerton alumni. And I was blown away. And I'm till this day, like I still continue to be blown away. But one of the persons that I met one-on-one with was President Frambergi and his wife. And they heard me speak in the videos. And they're like, Genesis, you should do TEDx. Like, it's amazing. You would learn so much more from it. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to, but I plan on continuing. All to say, I absolutely appreciate everything you all shared. I'm listening. I even made note of what Michelle said, the imposter syndrome. Been there, done that. You guys are just all motivational. And just know that I appreciate all of you. And what you guys do is not in vain. And many lives are being touched. Mine was touched today by all of you. It's also Shaundra, I think I'm saying your name correctly. All of you are just great. So I look forward to seeing you guys pursue what you guys enjoy doing. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm so happy to hear that, especially from someone in the audience. You know, I wasn't really expecting such personal connection today. So thank you so much for sharing. And I hope that one day you can do a TED Talk yourself, and maybe we can do a Q&A with you. So thank you so much. And I love, I was reading the chat how Michelle shared it took her 6 hours to film a TED Talk, and how she felt like she won the American Beauty pageant after the TEDx conference. That's just so amazing how I'm so glad it just made you more confident, because what we need in our lives is just confidence. Every day is self-love, confidence in your career, just everything. You need that confidence. So I'm so glad. Carla asked a question to all the panelists. How did you work on your speech after being selected as a speaker?
I'll take this one. Genesis, first and foremost, that was a beautiful share. It sounds like you've been through a lot, but you've also grown very much as well. So that was a beautiful share. Thank you for being vulnerable. How did I work on my speech after being selected as a speaker? I rewrote again, and kept rewriting until I actually got it. And I also spoke to professional speechwriters. I had a really good support system here within the CSUF platform as well. We spoke at length about my different drafts, but I'll be honest, my first draft didn't even look like what the final product was. So, that's how I work on it. It's about basically taking the time to really figure out what your why is, as Michelle said, and being okay with it. And then also being okay with the process as well. Like Michelle said, it took her 6 hours, it took me all day as well. And then I had to redo it the next day, and it took me 20 minutes. That's how funny life is. It usually ends up being 8 hours, and then it's 20 minutes. And I was like, well, why couldn't it be this easy the first time? It's not really how it works, though. So that's the story of life. But it's a lot of time and effort. If you actually do care about something, like all the people on this stage do, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort, but you will be proud of the end result. And that's all I have to say.
I'm going to piggyback after what Jacob said. I also been doing things on my own. Lone wolfing it is what we call it in the personal development world. You do it things all by yourself without any support. I've lived my life up until the TEDx platform came my way. And then I said, I have to reach out for support. Thank goodness for Cal State Fullerton's TEDx consulting team that supported me in narrowing down my idea and streamlining it. And at the same time, like professional speakers who have been speaking, keynote speakers in my network. And most importantly, when the time came to present my speech, I had 17 pages worth of content. And if it wasn't for reaching out and speaking up to the organizer that says, my speech is not gonna make it in your time limit unless someone steps in and fixes it. Because the only thing that I was attached to was presenting on that stage. I was not attached to the content, which allowed me to be extremely coachable. Because when we are attached to our content, you are now putting yourself in a box, and there isn't really room for growth because your ego has taken over. So all I kept telling everybody was, I'm attached to speaking. I'm attached to being in a time limit. I don't know what I speak. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Just get me on that stage and I will run with it. But to narrow down those ideas, if I shall have not have asked, I would not have received. And I've gotten massive support in the month of January from people I didn't even think could support me. But the moment I said I'm doing a TED Talk, they go, I want to help you. I want to hear it. And reiterated my speech over and over and over again, which is by the time that January 30th came around, the day I filmed it, I was like, I need a vacation. I've worked so hard. I've never worked so hard in my life. My parents were like, what the heck did you do? They're like, we know your speech and you haven't even memorized it. I said, it's not about memorization. It is about delivering the words, making you feel the words, and having the audience feel like this is a mission. Because my why wasn't just about the talk. My why was about showing up for myself, being that line in the mirror and owning it. So always go back to your why. And you know what? The only reason between an inexperience versus confidence is that they have experience. How do you get experience? Is this thing called practice and patience. You got to have the patience to keep practicing and practicing and practicing. And the perfectionism is going to kick in, and that's okay. You work around it. So, and it's a never ending process. It could always be better.
Yeah.
You got to learn go with good enough. Go with good enough and let it go.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, and to pile on to that, there's a really great saying, don't let perfect get in the way of better. And I think that was actually in my speech too. And it's true. You kind of have to do a little bit of letting go. You start with that heart, you start with the why, and you really have to be personally inspired by it, but you can't hold on too tight because it's not about you. It's about the audience. It's about the people you're serving by telling your story. And so the more feedback, the more mirrors you can hold up to kind of see what's sticking and see what people are gravitating towards, so that you get a sense of what's coming across. I mean, that's the thing with communication. We can do our best to share a message, but it's how it lands, it's how it's heard, and what people take away from that really makes a change and an impact for people. So for me, there were a couple things. The Cal State Fullerton team was fantastic at doing some really great editing. I have a tendency to roll in slow, and they're like, no, jump off the cliff. Let's dive right into it. And that was really powerful too. It started with a great hook at the beginning because of their editing and being open to that. It's sometimes hard as a speaker to hear criticism and to go, that didn't work. What do you do? And so that was also really powerful to find lots of different people to listen to it, not just one group over and over again. But for me, I belong to a Toastmasters group, so they heard it multiple times. There's a speakers bureau that's a spinoff from our local Toastmasters. They heard it multiple times. My kids. So there's the more the feedback that you can get on what people are hearing. And one of the tricks that I found worked really, really good is to give the speech and have people take notes, because that they're only going to write down what they can scribble in a few seconds. So that's the part that I think really helped me figure out if I was hitting the mark with it and the information was sticking. And then in terms of recording it, oh my God, we turned that living room into a soundstage for an entire weekend, and I got so frustrated with it. Recording, I think, is harder than the actual stage in a lot of ways, because the second you mess up, you're like, let's do it again. I don't think I made it through the entire speech for a full day. And I finally had to give up and go back, and I'm like, okay, that's it. Get the dogs out of the house, and I'm just going to do this end to end. And I ended up giving 3 different versions for the team to edit from. But they were all different, right? Because you can't do it verbatim. It just doesn't come across as natural when you're not just speaking. And so as a result, that makes it hard to even do those edits, because it's not on the same timeline. It's not the same script every time. So it was a lot of fun, though. We had a good time with it.
I think there's not so much to to add to what everyone has already said, but you know what? In my case, on the recording aspect, yes, Shaundra, yeah, I'm with you. I would have preferred 100 times to be on stage than being on my own with the camera right in front of me. And that was, I guess that was really challenging. But then again, going back to the question, I think I needed to really step back and ask my whys, like Michelle said, my whys were, who do I want to reach? That was the first question that was recommended by Salim. I think, who do I want to serve? And step outside of my ego, because once you get in front of the ego, in front of the camera, it's nowadays with the technology and Facebook and social media, it's easy to put filters and to put everything in it to make you look good or whatnot. But you know what? It's, who am I serving? I'm serving these veterans who are wounded. I'm serving this society that is wounded. There's no time for ego, and I'm not trying to twist this speech to where it's going to serve my ego, because then again, I'm making no sense whatsoever. I think it's like Jacob put it, it's just, you're on the cliff, just jump, and I think it's about understanding that what I have to do, what I have to give, is valuable when I put it into context, but with authenticity. The imposter syndrome, it can kick in at any time, and no, that's not what it's about. If you're trying to pursue, in my opinion, if you're trying to pursue to become a TED Talk speaker, just for the glory or for the name of it, recognition of it, I don't know if that's gonna be a good starting point. I think you have to come with the passion that you have to project, you have to give, and at times it's very difficult to contain. At least I'm speaking on my behalf, that contain the emotions that want to come out, and tears, and you hear your voice cracking up and everything. But that's when you know you're tapping into your emotional pole, not onto the ego, because it's just so crucial to be congruent, to be authentic, to be you, to speak of your own convictions, like I said.
All right, thank you guys for sharing that. I want to add my 2 cents that I was the one who kind of went through all your videos. I couldn't watch through every single one because that would have taken a really long time. But I have to say one thing I remember from everyone, not just the people in this room, but in every single speaker that participated, was so professional. And like I mean, for almost every person, it was so hard to choose between takes, because something was just so special about each one, especially you, Shaundra. I remember yours, how I ended up picking the one you recommended, but even like your other two, I could just feel some personality coming through, or how you delivered some things like with hand gestures. And it was just so amazing that I could see that, because I wouldn't have seen that on the main stage. I mean, it's just one take, one go usually, after rehearsing over and over again. So I think you guys should be really proud of how you delivered your TED Talks and recording it, because there's something really special about that. And I promise you that the audience sees it, that we see your effort in that extra thing of recording it. And because it's not, you're right, it's just, it's not as easy as it sounds when it comes to, you want, as like you guys said, if you mess up, you want to do it again. And I applaud all your hard work and effort in doing that. Does the audience have any questions? You're free to come on mute.
We don't bite, guys.
Yeah, we've had some great questions, so I understand if you guys are like, what else could they talk about? But maybe to kill some time, I do have another question for you guys. Just in general, what was the big takeaway? It could be something really fast. You don't have to elaborate, but like, what was the big takeaway for yourself, actually? What did you take away? Not from how other people saw your TED Talk, opportunities you got. What did you get from this experience?
an idea that I thought in 2019 when I first heard that, oh, Michelle, you could be on a TED Talk, was a feedback I received after giving a presentation at a seminar. Because the question was, where do you see Michelle speak? And multiple people said TED Talk, TEDx, TED Talk, TEDx. And I said, oh, that's weird. Like, whatever. Like, I'm not in Bill Gates. I'm not Steve Jobs. I'm not a celebrity. What are you guys thinking? You're crazy? I didn't realize that a year later, it was actually going to be a reality. It only became a reality because of the opportunity that was brought up to me, where one of my friends said, hey, I'm in this program to learn about how to give a TED Talk. You should join it to see if it fits for you. And I checked it out and I did the work in it and it showed. And when I got the acceptance letter that said, congratulations, you've been selected, I had to do a triple take. Did that really say congratulations? Is it really my name? I couldn't believe it. So the first thing I did was cry, because a dream that was a dream has now become a reality. And since then, I just said, you know what? I'm going to go all in and I'm going to give it my all. So even if you think it's a big, hairy, audacious goal, we talk about that BHAG, a bag, make your goal a big, hairy, audacious goal. That was my goal. Far-fetched. Someone like me could not even do it. Didn't even think Cal State Fullerton even had a program like this. Because 10 years ago, it didn't exist. 10 years later, it does. And the fact that something so close to home can be a brand of mine, can be what has shaped me. Because our college careers shape who we are. And to give back to a community that shaped me to be the woman I am today, why not give back? And so for that reason, I am forever grateful for this experience. And this experience has taught me to be the leader that I am today. So thank you. And don't ever give up on your dreams, even if you feel like it's stupid, it's far-fetched, it's crazy, because those are the ones that achieve it. So thank you.
I think for me, I like to use a quote from Socrates that says, the only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing. So for me, that was a good learning experience, understanding that even though I have a well of experiences in my bag, it humbles me. It humbled me. And the whole experience, it humbled me to a degree that, there's a long road ahead, and I'm just putting my 2 cents. That's all there is. But there's always an opportunity, thinking that at first it was I was rejecting the idea of giving up the opportunity to be on stage and everything. But again, like I did on my first answer, is that things happen for a reason. And the fact that we were put behind in front of a camera and in front of a white wall, there was nowhere to hide. And that's where the true self comes out. And I'm glad. That's what I got.
Yeah, I think, for me, it was about confidence. Really, it was about the confidence of, I had the same sort of experience with Michelle as, just being so overwhelmed by being picked to present. And I was just over the moon. So, for me, it was about the confidence and working through the process of, cleaning it up and refining it and cleaning it up. And of course the recording, it was wonderful to go through all of that experience and to be able to share it with the world too. So fantastic.
And one final wrap up point. I think my number one takeaway from this whole experience is, if you want it, you've got to be able to go out and get it, but you also have to be willing to fail. Let's use that 4-letter word. You have to be willing to fail as well. But I also saw it as, well, if I didn't get this TED Talk this year, I was going to keep trying every single year after that. So I had to send out those emails. It's a process, but it's worth the time, as Michelle said, as Alex said, as Shaundra said. It's all worth the time that you put in. You're going to get out what you put into it. And so I put a lot into it, and what I got back was really beautiful. And this has been a great talk. But send out those emails, reach out. Who cares if they say no? Because that's just one step closer to a yes.
Well, thank you guys for sharing that. I think that was a perfect way to end today's event, and right on time as well. Thank you guys. I invite you to share your LinkedIns in the chat for some of us to connect, including myself. I'm so glad to hear about all your experiences. This has gone way better than I expected. So thank you so much for coming and speaking so passionately about your TED Talks. I'm so glad to hear that. And I hope I get to hear from you guys again soon. So just, yeah, thank you so much. I learned so much from you guys' experiences, and I'm really going to take that as I go on with this organization. And I know some of our board here will take that into consideration as well, because I mean, we know we've had an impact with our organization, but it's so hard to believe like we had such a vast impact, especially think about all the opportunities you guys have. I mean, you know, it connects from like, I did this so that this would happen for Shaundra so that she could do this, you know? So thank you so much. Thank you for advertising yourselves as well. So yeah, everyone's free to go. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, rest of your weekend.
Thank you, everybody, for the time.
Yeah,
Honored
thank
to share
you.
the stage.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.